So some things that we've added that have made a huge difference, especially in our in-season training. And I think it's kind of an afterthought with a lot of coaches with in-season training, but how do we maintain strength levels? How do we keep them recovered? And how are we going to test it to see if they're recovered and see where their nervous system is? So there's a few things that we do. Number one, we do RPR, which is reflexive performance reset. If you don't know what that is, you probably ought to look it up. That was another thing I picked up over my COVID vacation. And it was one of the best things we did. So basically, it's a method of breathing and tactile inputs that reset the nervous system from a survival mode and into a higher performance mode, just like flipping on a light switch and getting everything firing, in the right sequence. Okay, so RPR has been big for us. We do it with all groups before each session. And to be honest, if we roll through and a kid looks like his nervous system is shot, as we run through the vertical jump mat, we send them over to get more RPR and mobility. So we'll get to some more of that in just a little bit. So 3 things I picked up from Cal that have some training methods that have really helped us a bunch. One is the oscillatory stuff. I'd read about it in super training, but there wasn't much there on it. And but when we started looking at the implementation of that and the why behind it. First of all, in order for a muscle to completely or fully contract, the antagonistic muscle has to fully relax, right? So in order for us to be explosive and quick, we've got to get the antagonistic muscles to relax quicker, right? So basically, if we were to come down and we coach our athletes, we want as quick a 4 to 6 inch contractions as possible. And it's ugly in the beginning, especially with the lower body stuff. It's incredibly difficult lower body wise. And we have kids that have been doing it for, year and a half, 2 years, and they still struggle with it. Okay. The fast twitch guys, they pick it up pretty quick. Okay. But they all can benefit from it. So we feel like that's been, that's helped us a bunch. And you can just see them gain more coordination and training the nervous system to contract and relax a little quicker. And that really passes the eyeball test as much as anything. Okay. A couple other things. We implemented performance cycling. Let's see, it wasn't last track season, but the track season before with our track team. And that's how we did that all season with them. We hit PRs for like 6 or 7 straight weeks. And performance cycling basically is cycling a selected number of exercises in a specific order to optimize athletic performance. So in other words, we might do some type of a squat followed by a hurdle hop, followed by now a hamstring movement of like a single leg reverse hyper, and then do maybe a drop jump with band tension, and then go into prime time runs. Okay. So basically working back and forth between something knee dominant, something hip dominant seems to be more optimal to improve performance. Then we get them on the vertical jump mat every time. So we test them at the beginning. We see where their baseline is. Most of the time we see potentiation. Their numbers, when we first start doing this, we're like, how come they're not getting tired? How come their numbers just keep going up? And so we had to, but as we got into season, we realized that it was a really good test. We had some kids we knew that were overtrained, and we'd see as soon as we saw their numbers go down, as soon as we saw them drop by about 4%, 5%, we pulled them, go do more RPR, do more mobility. And so we knew that their nervous system was getting close to being shot at that point. But then the goal obviously is transference. We need them to perform well in a contest. So performance cycling has been good to us. Oscillatory stuff. The other thing is DPPC training. So that's dynamic power potentiation training or cycling. And all that is just combining and overcoming isometric with an explosive movement. So we might do floor press and overcoming isometric floor press, just 2 seconds, 1001, 1002, trying to recruit as many motor units as possible, come off of it, now do a row, an isometric row, then go into a plyo, cross crawl plyo push-up with band assistance, and then from there moving into like a band lat pull down with oscillations. Okay, so something a little quicker. So those are some things that we did in season that we had great results with. Football team went 9-2 this year, and we our vertical jumps until the last 2 weeks of the season, we just kept having people PR. We had a running back that started the season with a 35-inch vertical and ended up with a 39.5. So I don't know how that happens in season, but part of it's our coaching staff. They don't beat the heck out of them in practice, and they don't run them into the ground. So it makes us look pretty smart in the weight room, I think. But those are a few things we do. Spring ankle's been big. Coach Nelson, we still use the pendulum wave, Louis' pendulum wave on dynamic days with, 50, 55, 60% with band, accommodating resistance and Poliquin's cluster sets. That we do a lot of that stuff on strength days. So I don't know, Coach, is that a good stopping
point?
No,
that's perfect, man. So I guess a couple things. If those that are watching this haven't watched their talks individually, definitely go do that, because each coach had some really good videos of your athletes, going through a training session, talking about a lot what you just talked about, Coach. So that helped me a lot following you with your talk. I know one thing that you said I had jotted down in Wichita, a comment you made, you kind of said it a little bit just a second ago, is, nowadays we're really caught up in the data, right? What does the data say? What should we do here because of the data, or whatever it is? But what do our eyes say? What are our eyes telling us? Read the room a little bit. Have some feel with the team. Have some feel with your athletes, because, like you said, what might work for this team may not work for this team over here. I had jotted that down as kind of a very low key, strong comment that you made in Wichita, was just that. So, but no, Coach, that was great. I really appreciate